Hi everyone, happy Thursday. I wanted to say first off, to start off this Vlogtober video, a big thank you to everybody who watched my birth story video and commented on it. You guys left such nice and supportive and loving comments, and I am so grateful for that. A lot of you too shared your birth stories in the comments, which I really enjoyed, and I really kind of wished I would have asked you guys to do that so that more people would do it. So if you want to share your birth story in the comments of that episode, do it. I had so much fun reading about your guys' stories too, so that was really amazing. It was weird putting out that video just because it was harder, a lot harder than I thought it was going to be to really verbalize everything I wanted to say about it. And I totally forgot some stuff too, which was super weird to me because I think about it and have thought about it a lot. And for the almost a month afterwards, it was like all me and Colin could talk about was that experience because it was so profound. And so I had talked about it so much and thought about it so much that it was sitting down to talk about it. I thought it was going to be really easy to get the whole story out, but it really wasn't. It was really scattered and all over the place, but I'm glad you enjoyed it if you did. There were, like I said, a bunch of stuff that I forgot to say. And because, you know, in a video like that, it would be just hours and hours long if I did talk about all the little details that I've thought about when it comes to pregnancy and stuff like that, because there's just so much that I can say on it, but the video would just be like way too long if I said it all. But I do love talking about it, so if you ever want to know anything about what I did or my opinion on whatever, let me know. I'd be happy to talk about it. But two things I did want to mention that I forgot to say in the video yesterday that I just think are pretty important parts of the story. One is that I went into labor 5 days late, 5 days after my due date. And I don't really have much to say about that. I wasn't dying, I wasn't terribly uncomfortable, but I feel like that was a pretty big part of it. Also, Lucy was born the day before Colin's birthday, which was kind of crazy. We were kind of keeping our fingers crossed that they would have the same birthday, but they have their birthdays one day after the other. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. Again, thank you so much to everybody who watched it or liked it or commented. Thank you. So what we're gonna do today in Vlogtober is an office tour. We are in my office right now, and back there you see the background that you normally see when I podcast. But I'm gonna kind of turn it around and show you the rest of the room, and here we go. So this is pretty much the view you guys are used to. This is my desk, and we've got some, you've already seen these magazines that I bought last month. We've got some yarn here that I have recently dyed. This is Fairy's Word Boots, and you guys saw that yarn in a past video, and I asked your opinion on whether I should go with Fairy's Wear Boots or Nightfalls for this colorway. And I didn't count, but I'd say it was kind of 50-50 what you guys thought, and I went with Fairy's Wear Boots. So that's what that is. I'm going to be listing this in the shop pretty soon. I haven't decided whether I'm just going to throw up what I have or wait until I dye more to do a proper shop update. So I'm thinking about that. Let me know if you have an opinion. This is the very last of the graveyard pre-orders that I dyed, and those will be shipping out either today or tomorrow. This is my sewing machine. I have a Janome 2212, and I really adore this sewing machine. I bought it, I want to say 7 years ago maybe. And I bought it online. I did a lot of research. It's the first sewing machine I've ever purchased for myself brand new. I had 2 used sewing machines before this one. One was the one that was my mother's, that we had in our house growing up, and when she upgraded, she gave it to me. I think that's the case. I might have just stolen it. I don't remember. Anyway, that one was fine. I don't remember what it was. It was a super old machine. The next one I had was a Happy Light, I think it was called. If I'm wrong and I can figure out what it was actually called, I'll put it in the little screen corner thing. But it was this really adorable mint green little vintage like mini sewing machine. It was still a proper like full-size sewing machine. It was just smaller. It must have been like from the 60s, and it was adorable and wonderful and cute. And I bought it at a local like sewing and vacuum store, and I bought it just because I fell in love with it because it was so vintagey and wonderful. And it worked great for a while, but I needed to upgrade at a certain point because it was too kind of dinky to handle all my needs. But I love this machine. It's kind of, for me, it was the best balance of inexpensiveness and quality, and I love it. I highly recommend this machine if you're looking for like a first-time machine. This is my Ohm shawl that is patiently waiting for buttons. And I have got this plastic Knit Picks ball winder, which works wonderfully for me. I love it. These two tiles are a couple of tiles that I got in Mexico the time that Colin and I went on a vacation in Mexico. And I have always fantasized about doing tile work here and there in my house. I never have, but if I do, I want to incorporate those somehow. That Space Girl print is a little card from Leilani Joy, who is an Etsy seller whose artwork I love, and I'll be showing you more of her artwork soon. This, I'll just show off real quick. This is a very old photograph of my father, who is no longer with us. He is in the middle wearing fishing pants, and there are two girls on either arm, and I don't know who either of them are, but I love that picture because it's brilliant. I think I'll go now to the artwork. So I have a lot of artwork in my office. You'll see a theme among it because I tend to really be drawn towards artwork with women as the subject matter. I just love it. I love the female form. I love women in artwork, and I love artwork like this, where it's a piece where it's just a single woman as the subject. I love it. So this is another print by Leilani Joy, and what she kind of does is she takes people or characters or female figures that are already pretty much known, and she paints them in her own style. And this one is Ophelia, and Ophelia is a character from Shakespeare's Hamlet, and I fell in love with it when I saw it. I think it's really incredibly cool. And this is very much in her style. And the frame that she's in is one that I found at a yard sale on my block a while ago, and I have a second one that matches, and I'm thinking I want to spray paint the second one. I have some sparkly pink spray paint that I hope to one day use on that. This one you guys have seen before. It's a painting done by a swap partner that I had years ago. I did a lot of swaps through the Tiny Owl Knits Ravelry group, and this came in one of my swap packages. It's a little fox, and I love her. This is a print from the Rose Witchery, who has an Etsy shop, and this is of 3 women in colorwork yoked sweaters. One's holding a yarn ball, one's holding a lamb, one's holding a drop spindle. And I think it's really, really pretty. I love it. And the frame that this one's in, I also got from Etsy. It's like some repurposed wood. This painting is something that was painted by a very, very good friend of mine, Sarah. And Sarah and I went to college together here in Arcata at Humboldt State University. She studied art, and this painting was one of her art projects in school. And it's of me wearing earmuffs and holding a Trafalgar bag, which I don't know exactly what Trafalgar is in terms of the branding, but you can find a lot of these things in thrift stores, here in California at least. And they're blue bags and like other travel accessories with this rainbow stripe on them, and they say Trafalgar on them. I used to kind of collect them. I loved them. And then there's a duck, and I love it. This is a set of antlers, and I bought these actually at a local fiber fair called the Natural Fiber Fair here in Arcata. It's a really, really small fiber fair that we have here, just held in our community center. And this was being sold, I think, for buttons, because if you see, already some of it's been cut off, and they kind of, I think the intention is to cut off slices of it and use them as buttons, but I hung it because I like it. I'm kind of a collector of dead animal things. Like, I like to collect skulls and skeletons if I find them, or antlers or horns or whatever. This is a bird of happiness that I knit. That's a bunny rabbit. And let's see, over here we've got a clock that doesn't work, but I like how it looks. This is a velvet painting that I shared on my Instagram feed not too long ago. And it's a velvet painting that my grandmother had in her home when my mother was growing up. And when they moved, it got banished to the attic and I think forgotten about. And then when my grandmother sold that house and cleaned the house out, they found it and thought I would like it, so she gave it to me, and she was right. I love it. And it has lived with me in every house and apartment that I have lived in since I moved out of my parents' house. And it's very old. The velvet is not velvety anymore. It's very crunchy, but I think it's really beautiful. Couple instruments. We've got a ton of instruments around my house. That is my 4-string banjo, which I don't ever play because I really don't know how to play it well. And that's my husband's mandolin. I've got a nice sliding glass door that leads to the backyard that I love. Here hangs my sock blockers. And one I keep empty to show off socks on the podcast. And the other one holds this one sock. It is the only single sock I've ever ended up with. I knit this out of some Sweet Georgia fiber, or Sweet Georgia yarn, I guess, a long time ago. And then I decided I didn't like it and I never wanted to knit the second one. This is the only case of second sock syndrome that I've ever gotten. And it still hangs there to this day. Cat scratching post. And then this shelf. Oh wait, I'm doing artwork. Okay, we'll get back to that shelf. Sorry. This is a Muka. Muka is a very popular artist. He did a lot of, what do you call it, advertisements. And his subject matter was pretty much always women. At least the ones that I know were always women. And he's an Art Nouveau artist, and this one is Le Matin. I don't know what that means, but but I like her. This is a photograph that my mother took of our old cat, Maddie. Now, Maddie was the biggest, beefiest, fluffiest, most wonderful cat ever. And she is sitting in a Joshua tree in this picture. Maddie was a wonderful cat. She's no longer with us, but she was amazing. And this Joshua tree is one that sits in front of my mother's house, who lives in the Antelope Valley, which is in the Mojave Desert, where Joshua trees are endemic to. Sorry for such bad grammar, but what I'm trying to say is Joshua trees only grow in the Mojave Desert, and they are my favorite plant. And lastly, for artwork, we have got this lovely lady. This was also painted for me by my friend Sarah, who now lives in Washington. Hi, Sarah. She painted this for me, and it's of a lady sitting on, or lounging on a, oh, what do you call them? What are these kinds of chairs called? Fainting couch? On a fainting couch, I think. Or a chaise lounge. Chaise lounge? I don't know. I'm not fancy, you guys. But she's supposed to be lounging on this thing. It's meant to be a red velvet couch, and I love her. She's beautiful. Oh, there's a couple more things. Let's see. Here's a fish hook with some pizza on it. This is a Betty Page light switch cover that came with the house. The former occupants, this was their bedroom and that was their light switch cover. This is a picture of me when I was a baby, and that is my dad, and I'm wearing a Snoopy hat. This is a photograph also taken by my friend Sarah, and this was in a local cafe to us, and it's a picture of me sitting in a window with the cat that used to live at that coffee shop. This is another Rose Witchery print. It is of a woman holding what I think might be mistletoe. It's some kind of plant, and she's drop spindling. Last of all, we have two more Leilani Joy prints. This is just a postcard that I put in a frame from the dollar store. I don't know who this is supposed to be, but I'm sure it's supposed to be some figure or character. And then this is from Leilani Joy. It is Princess Mononoke. And Princess Mononoke is a character from a Miyazaki movie called Princess Mononoke. And I am an intensely huge Miyazaki fan. And Princess Mononoke is one of my very favorites. And that frame came from like Urban Outfitters or something like that. Okay, so that was all my artwork. As you can tell, I love artwork with a female subject, with just one center female subject. It's like my favorite. There's more of it around my house too. Like pretty much every piece of artwork that's mine around this house looks like that somehow. But anyway, so you saw my cat scratching post. My husband and I occasionally reupholster this thing ourselves because this is what my cat scratches on. And we so savvily figured out how to reupholster it, so we do that from time to time because these things are freaking expensive. So this is where all my dyeing stuff is. I've got 2 burners that I use, so I dye 4 pots at a time. These are all my dyes. I use Dharma Trading Company acid dyes. This is my collection of blocking mats. I have 2 sets of them from Knit Picks. These are my labels, and I get these printed at a local print shop. Shipping and labeling stuff. Those are my pots. Some more pots and supplies. And back there, if you can peek way back there, that's where I keep all my knitting magazines, sewing patterns, and that little bag there is full of zippers. This adorable cart here is one of those carts from IKEA. I have a mint green one, which I adore. And that is my ironing board. So up top here, I keep my dye journals, and this is full of sock soap from Tuft Woolens. I've got this lotion bar that I really like by Love and Leche. And I use Eucalan when I dye, when I wash the yarn. So that's what this is for. I have these 2 drop spindles. And then this is where I have just a bunch of either mini skeins or leftover fingering weight yarn. There's a bunch of it in there. And down in the bottom 2 tiers are works in progress. Those are all my works in progress. Here we have my beautiful and wonderful spinning wheel. She is a shocked ladybug and I love her. Every shocked ladybug comes with a ladybug somewhere on the wheel. And you never know where it's going to be. It's different on every wheel, and mine is right there. Yeah. And she's empty right now, but hanging on the back of her is that spunky eclectic merino that I intend to spin. Today, by the way, I'm wearing my Jinx Yarns Grainbow socks. And Jinx Yarns, as I'm sure you know, is unfortunately out of business now, but I do have 2 half skeins left over from other projects, which I am of course now going to hoard. This is my other shelf. Here we've got this box which is full of knitwear accessories, hats, and mittens and stuff like that. Pusheen and a dinosaur. In here I've got, what do I have in here? This is gonna be embarrassing. This is full of lip stuff. That is all lipstick. Oh, the bottom one's actually all nail polish. But this is a Caboodles. I'm kind of obsessed with Caboodles. Let's see, my iron. These are all my stitch markers. I keep all my progress keepers here. And all my stitch markers in this Pusheen thing. Got unicorns and cats. These are the buttons I'm going to use on my ohm shawl. And I just got a bunch of trinkets and shit down here. Those are some 2-pound weights that I never use, some baby books. This is my poor husband's shelf. When Lucy was born, we turned his office into the nursery, and this is his new office. Everything on this shelf is it. Everything else in this office is the same as it was before, when it was just my office. This bottom shelf is all my knitting books. So I don't have many. I'm not much of a knitting book person. I'm really more of an online resource kind of person. But I do have some really good ones. I have some sewing books in here too. And back here we just have some other things. That dinosaur box is full of nail polish. I have an etiquette book because I'm like really into etiquette for some reason. And River Cottage Preserves Handbook. I love River Cottage, you guys. If you ever get a chance to watch that show, it was on the BBC some time ago. I don't know if there's still a current show of his, probably not. But it was an amazing series of shows. I love River Cottage stuff. Anything River Cottage, give it to me. Over here we've got yoga mats and a foam roller or whatever they're called. And coming back over this way, over my desk, ooh, we've got this lamp, which is very cool. This came with my mom's house when she bought it. So she bought a house kind of in the backwoods of the town that I lived in before I moved here. And it was owned by an old man who passed away, and a bunch of his stuff was left in the house when she bought it, including this lamp. And I fell in love with it and took it because I love it. It's very 70s, and unfortunately it's kind of broken, as you can see here. Like, it's supposed to go like that, but it goes like that. And I've tried to tape it because that's my janky way of fixing things, but it didn't work. So there's lots of tape on it, but it's okay, it still works and I love it. This is kind of my fiber stuff. I've got my Swift here, and I do always keep my Swift set up here with my ball winder set up here, so that whenever I wind yarn, things are all already set up. And that has made me love winding yarn. I used to really despise winding yarn because I just had to set everything up every time. But now that it's just always set up, I like it again. So this is just some stuff. I keep like a million of these things around everywhere. This is a Knit More Girls one. This is some spray that I've made. It's lavender cedar spray, and it's just with lavender and cedar essential oils, witch hazel and water, and I kind of use it as a linen spray. I'll spray down just the fabric in our house, the linens, the couches, my shawls and stuff like that. And lavender and cedar both are really good for keeping bugs out of stuff. So I like to spray that around every once in a while, and I just really like how it smells. That reminds me too, some of you asked for me to share my kind of homemade house cleaning products, and I am so more than happy to do that, and I really appreciate the request and the suggestions. If you guys have any requests or suggestions for these Vlogtober videos, let me know. I'm super happy to kind of do whatever you guys want to see, but I am definitely going to put together a video that talks about how I make my homemade cleaning products. So that's kind of one of them. It's not a cleaning product, but it's just kind of a linen spray that I like to make. Here's my dinosaur. I am kind of obsessed with dinosaurs, and there's a lot of plastic dinosaurs around my house. This is a little kind of container that I keep scissors and crochet hooks and stuff like that. These are also both from Leilani Joy. They're mirrors. And this is my stash. That is it. That is all my stash. So in here, this is another Caboodles box. This has got my sewing stuff in it. This is a gram scale that I use for knitting and stuff. This is a needle roll that I made a long time ago, and it's where I keep my straight needles and my DPNs, of which I don't have many. This has all my fingering weight yarn in it. This has kind of random stuff. It's got cotton yarn, a few random half skeins of Knit Picks palette, and some two frogged sweaters quantities. This has got most everything else. I've got my worsted, DK, and lace weight in here. This is all my scraps live in here. And it's pretty full of stuff. This is my fiber stash. All my spinning fiber is in here. And that is it. I very kind of proudly keep a really small stash. I don't tend to buy yarn without a project in mind, I guess. I tend to buy yarn when I know I want to use it. The exception of that is when I go to shows, and I tend to try and buy sweaters quantities when I go to shows. I like single skeins of like sock yarn and stuff, but I don't tend to buy them a lot. I think it's just because I get, what is it called? I don't know what it's called. Decision paralysis. You give me a whole wall of beautiful hand-dyed sock yarn and I do not know what to pick. So I tend to rarely buy that kind of stuff at shows. That's the kind of stuff that I can definitely get tempted online though to buy. Underneath our printer, well, on top of our printer, I keep a little chef pusheen. And then down here we've got some more knitting stuff. In here I've got a drawer that has all my labels in it for yarn. This is needle cases for my interchangeables. The project bags are in there. This has a bunch of yarn in it that I was using for this project, which you may or may not remember. This was a crocheted mandala that I started a while ago that I really want to hang in Lucy's room, but I gave up on it because I got to this point where I was crocheting around the hoop. This is a metal hoop right here, and it got super annoying and I did not like it anymore, so I haven't touched it since. Living in here is my granny stripe crochet blanket. I've got everything in there. I've got a magic cake right there waiting to be crocheted into it. This is a bag that I keep some mini skeins in that I intend to put in my granny stripe crochet blanket. This is my sexy campers bag. And I love him. And this is just a big giant mint green bag that I got somewhere. Don't know where. And across the back of my couch here, I've just got some, that's a shawl, the brown one. This is my Cozy Memories blanket that I never finished. That's a big stuffed spider. Here is some Lucy laundry that I haven't put away yet. These are some really pretty lace, I don't know what they are. I think they're lace napkins maybe. I found them at a thrift store and I thought they were pretty, so I bought them. They just sit on my couch. That is pretty much it. That's my office. This is one of my favorite places in the whole world. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you tomorrow. Bye guys.